Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Wayne County Chambers podcast, For the Record. We want to say a special thank you to our sponsors, Sport Durst of Goldsboro, Goldsboro Builders Supply, and Professional Data Management. The Sport Durst team is ready to get you into a beautiful new Volkswagen. Offering open and honest pricing on every vehicle and service, Sport Durst of Goldsboro understands the value of your time and dollars. Providing quality building materials since 1953, Goldsboro Builders Supply is your premier destination for custom designs and excellent service to builders and contractors in Wayne County and surrounding areas. Professional Data Management offers specialized service and technologies designed to help you gain maximum reimbursements for the valuable services that your office provides. Another huge thank you to our in-kind sponsors, Daniels Furniture, University Lights of Goldsboro, and Johnson Carpet One, who together worked hard to make our beautiful podcast set what you see today. And for the record, we're glad you're here.
Mr. Kyle Merritt, how are you, sir?
Life's beautiful, man.
Yeah? Your
That's
dad.
Good. Yep.
Congratulations.
Hey, man. It's it's been a tough. The first 8 weeks were really hard, and now he's 5 months old, so it's like getting pretty fun, man.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Starting to make all the gestures, letting you know.
Smiling, laughing, drooling, starting to use his hands. It's just kind of it's funny to watch him struggle with their motor skills. You feel bad for him, but he's starting to grab stuff and pull it to his face. It's great, man.
That's awesome. Oh yeah. Well, and it's wild. It's like you say, it's a challenging time, but it's a beautiful time.
I think I tell most people that anybody that doesn't have kids, they're like, yeah, how's being a dad? And I'm like, it's like the hardest thing to do and the best thing to ever do at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's really good, man. The days are long, but the weeks are fast. So
yeah, that's true. There's an old Norm Macdonald joke. He said, they grow up so slow. It's barely discernible. But it's always been funny to me because I'm like, you don't realize that they've grown until it's 6 months or 2 years or 5 years. And you turn around and you're like, what the heck?
Yeah, I get it. When people say that, man, times, I've had a lot going on the past 5 months, and as it is, and then you throw a baby in the mix, it's like, it really makes things a little bit more challenging because you want to be home with the baby and you got things to do. But it's been fun. I try to spend as much time home as I can. So
That's awesome. So tell us more about Kyle Merritt. You are a dad, but tell us some of the other stuff.
I'm born and raised here in Wayne County in Goldsboro. Been here for 29 years now. That's how old I am. And I went to Spring Creek High School, so I kind of grew up on the, what would you call it, like the southeastern part of the county? No.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Right. Yeah.
Towards Walnut Creek, but on the poor side of Walnut Creek. And I graduated in 2013, and I tried to go to college. Didn't work out, so I decided that I wanted to. I didn't really decide. I kind of fell into it. I started working in restaurants, and then kind of graduated into a real estate agent, and then was finally able to make some money, and then started opening my own business. And here I am, man. Life's good. I got a great life, man. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah. You tell me, Miss Shelby.
Yep, that was that was awesome. That was a win. She's great, man. I'm very lucky, and I know that. And she's got a great family, man. They took me right in, and they're all really solid people. So it's nice to surround yourself with good people, and she makes me a better person.
Well, that's awesome, man.
Brings a lot of softness to my life, man. I'm kind of like a rough around the edges dude, and then Shelby's this like big beating heart, that's like, she's great, man.
She is awesome. She's one of my favorite all-time people. That's for sure. And her family is great. Well, that's so cool. So you're 29. I can't believe you're 29 years old, but you're 29. You've been in real estate. You own a business. You've worked in food service and, bars and that sort of thing. So you now though, I remember, I don't know, it's a number of years ago now, but when I was working for the city downtown, I remember a conversation you had with me. You may not remember it, but I do. And you said you had a dream to open a bar. It'd always been something you wanted to do, or something you had plans to do, and it was going to happen, and it was going to happen, and it was going to happen, and it was going to happen. And I was like, okay, cool. And then it happened.
Man.
Heck yeah.
So the story of Church, which is the bar that I own, is I worked for a bunch of restaurants. I mean, I went to college right out of high school. I went to Wayne, and I just like floundered for a year, dude. I mean, I didn't have like the money to go to school. I was on like financial aid, and I was just like burning my mom's pockets, and she didn't really have it either, you know. And I was like, all right, just like I need to go work. And I started working at Laughing Owl. I think it was my first job out of high school in the restaurant industry. And I was like serving tables, and like I really enjoyed it, man. I found out real quick that I had a passion for people, and I love taking care of people, and like, you know, even serving them food. Like it wasn't anything that I owned, but like taking care of people was made me feel good. And then graduated from a server, moved over to Ed's Southern Food and Spirits, if anybody remembers that.
I do remember that. It was
incredible.
Great,
that was the best restaurant that's ever been downtown, in my opinion. And I worked there as a server, and then I became a bartender like real quick. And then it turned into me like basically running the bar with my friend Shogo. And you know, it was great and all, but like I've always anywhere I've worked, I mean, I've had a bunch of jobs in high school. Anywhere I worked, I always wanted to like know what it was like to be this guy, you know? And so I was always trying to figure out like, you know, how to be a business owner, how to be a bar owner. And there's a man that was a partner in Ed's, Alvin Grant. Mm-hmm. I was very intrigued with Alvin. He was just like a really cutthroat dude. Very successful, owned many bars in Greenville, like had a bunch of ventures before Ed's. And I don't know, man, he kind of like inspired me to get into the bar business. And then I fell in love with like cocktails, and like, you know, I like to drink, but I don't do it for feeling. It's just like a pleasure, you know. It's like I'm very interested in spirits and cocktails.
The craft, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And anyways, I had this vision when I was working there, and I kept honing Alvin. I was like, hey man, take a chance on me, right? Like I'm just 21-year-old kid. I haven't proved nothing. He's like, I'm asking him to, you know, open a bar with me, which my vision back then was what Church is now. And you know, he did the right thing. He didn't give me a chance, and moved on from Ed's, worked at a couple other places, and just kind of floundered for a couple years. I think most 20-year-olds are just trying to figure it out. And I got into real estate. I've been doing that for 7 years now. And when I got in real estate, I was able to make like some real money. So Tufano's left. They contacted me, and
Tufano's was an old wine bar.
Yeah, they did like wine, and like
they had redone that space some already.
They had completely renovated the building, so that made my job as opening a business pretty easy. You know, it was already like set up for a bar. I just had to go in there and make some like cosmetic changes, and it was really simple. And it helped with like, you know, your initial cost to get in. You know, I didn't go and renovate a building and spend $250,000. I went and spent $25,000 on inventory and did a lot of the work myself to make the cosmetic changes. So it was a really good opportunity, and it was really been good to me. But I went in there. I didn't have a business plan. I knew I had a passion for cocktails, and like I think that part of being an entrepreneur is like you gotta love to work, man. You know, like you gotta be willing to figure out whatever it is, and like, I mean, to this day I still mop the floors and clean the bathrooms in my own space. You know, just whatever needs to be done, you gotta do it. But yeah, we got the keys, did some stuff in there, and maybe like a month and a half later, 2 months later, we opened the doors, and man, it's been better than I ever thought it would be.
It's been wild.
It's been, yeah, it was, I mean, I kind of like, my vision was this like really small place that, you know, people could come and like have a couple drinks and leave. And then it turned into like we're like a craft cocktail, like dive bar. I mean, there's like people coming there like by the herds, you know. It's kind of crazy, but it's been really awesome, man. Better than I ever thought it would be.
Yeah, well, and it's a beautiful location. I mean, aesthetically speaking, it's always been, I think, very attractive place.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, right off the center is kind of like, we didn't do any signage either. So it was like kind of mysterious, which is like the idea of the speakeasy, and, I think Walnut Street's a beautiful street anyways, especially like, Sunset, man. When you come up Walnut from John and you got the fountain and the sunset, it's like right on Walnut.
Union Station's out in your, kind of in your backdrop. I agree with you. I think Walnut, that that section between the 100 block and 200 block of West Walnut to me are prime places.
I think there's a lot of opportunity there, man. I'd love to see some, there are some buildings across the street from that location that I wish somebody would grab and do something with, man. They're so nice.
And downtown in general it's just come such a long way. I mean, there's still a long way to go, but the idea that a business like this could succeed, that a lot of things had to happen. I mean, certainly what you've done is a great idea, but it's built on something too, right? Like that, like a lot of businesses down there. I mean, a lot of the businesses that are there would have had trouble succeeding 20 years ago.
Oh, for sure.
15 years ago,
Dude, I was working at Laughing Owl and Ed's when the streetscape was happening. Mm-hmm. So I remember, man. And I grew up here. So it was like 20 years ago, we didn't come downtown. I've been in Goldsboro my whole life. We came downtown for two things. We came to see Christmas lights and we didn't even get out of the car, right? We just drove around. And then there was a fish store where Artistic Dance is now. And my dad would come up here once a month and like buy a fish or some food or something. I just remember that. But
where were the Christmas lights? I guess right on center.
Yeah, they used to do like kind of similar to what they do now. It's like they didn't have the trees and stuff, but they would have the reefs hang in. And I guess that was cool to us when we were kids.
Of course,
but
man.
Now it's 10 times better, man.
Yeah. I was driving down there last night and I was just like, gosh, it's so beautiful.
It's nice, man.
It really is a beautiful place.
Sport Durst Volkswagen Mazda of Goldsboro is proud to support Wayne County Chamber of Commerce. Family owned and operated, Sport Durst knows the importance of keeping local money local and supporting the community. We put our customers first with the area's best pricing, best trade-in value, and best selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. Come experience the Sport Durst difference, where customers and community come first.
So entrepreneurship in general, I mean, being a realtor is also, like being an entrepreneur, but I think the bar is a little bit different, animal.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about entrepreneurship kind of in general, because I think a lot of people who may watch this or hear, most people assume that if you own your own business, you are rich and you have plenty of time. And for everybody who's ever talked to me about entrepreneurship, I tell them usually for a long period of time, you have neither.
Yeah.
You're spending your money and you're spending all of your time on this thing. And the hope is that one day you'll have, money and time, but
the fruits of your labor.
That's right. But the roller coaster of entrepreneurship, just talk about that a little bit.
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. It's hard, and everybody just like assumes that, the bar is busy, so I'm making bukus of money. But what you don't realize, and what I didn't realize before I opened, is like all the things you have to pay for, man. In my business, it's what we get killed on is taxes, right? So when you buy a bottle of liquor from the store, you might pay $30 for a bottle of Makers. We pay $37. So we get taxed when we purchase it. We get taxed to sell it, and I get taxed to pay people to sell it. So it's like huge chunk right off the top. And when you're doing the things that we do, we squeeze all of our fruit. Fruit's very expensive. Liquor's expensive itself. You gotta pay like property insurance. If somebody gets hurt, liability. You gotta pay workers' comp. Like all these things that I didn't have a business plan. I just kind of winged it and figured it out as I went. And I don't think people realize like how much money like is spent to be open, and then also how much time. Like if you're if I was never there, then my vision wouldn't be carried out the way I want it to be. You know,
Sure.
We've been very lucky, and I've got great employees and a really good team, and everybody kind of, you know, they know what my expectation is. You know, I have an expectation of them and they have an expectation of me. And I think that everybody does a really good job of trying to meet those expectations. And I think that's been very helpful, man. I mean, it's made this journey a lot easier. I've had really good people on my team. And, you know, I think in the bar business, everybody just has to be creative and get creative minds in there, and everybody works really well together. So
there's always ups and downs. Let's talk about some of those challenges and some of those successes. Like what, you know, usually if I'm talking to an entrepreneur, they can tell you is there's some moments that are etched in their brain that were really, really cool days, really great moments, you know, and then there were some really difficult moments and difficult days. Take us through some of that, if you don't mind.
Well, I mean, the great days are when everything's working and everybody shows up when they're supposed to, and all the people come in and spend their money with you. Obviously, those are our favorite days, and I think that, I don't know, man. I don't really. This is gonna sound real cliche, but I don't really have bad days. You know, it's just like, you know, we've had obstacles, and for example, at where we just were on Walnut Street, the internet kept going out, and it was like nothing we were doing. But if the internet don't work, the POS system don't work, which means we can't accept money, which means we can't be open. So that was like, anytime a heavy rain happened, I'd have to go there and like make sure our internet worked early in the morning so that, you know, before we open at 5, I had time to get somebody out there to fix it. Which is, you know, I think that, I think being an entrepreneur is like inconvenient sometimes. And I think that's, I think those would be like my biggest challenges, like the inconveniences, you know?
Well, and I think most people don't really realize the threats. Like there's so many things that threaten your business, which you don't think about when you're a consumer. But once you go into business, you realize, gosh, a hard rain, you know, if somebody you know, if downtown blocks the street for a day,
For sure,
or an hour, or if it's the right hour, you know, or the wrong hour, we might should say. But I mean, there's just all these little things that can take what you expect to happen on a given night. So if your business, I would think, would be Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night,
yes,
right?
Sir.
So, you know, if anything disrupts those 3 nights between 5 and 2, that's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Because you take one night away from a 3-night week. And basically, I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, being a business owner, I think you rely, especially small business, you know, you rely on other people so much, you know, like I don't really do the day-to-day operations. You know, I don't bartend every night that we're open. I very seldomly do that. But, you know, if one person calls out on a Friday, you know, and then I'm stuck, you know, trying to find somebody to cover or I have to go in there myself and do it, you know, you're putting a guy in there that's like myself that hasn't bartended in a while and is real rusty, and that can change like the whole flow of the restaurant or the bar. And, you know, I think the biggest thing, like I said, is like just the inconvenience that being an entrepreneur can be is, you know, something goes wrong, somebody calls out, you know, you're always expected to show up and fix it. Well,
yeah, I'll never forget when I owned a business for the first time, and it dawned on me that I was the last line of defense, you know, like it was, you know what I mean? It was like, oh no, that's my problem.
Yep. When everything's going good, it's great. You know, but like anything that's wrong, it's like,
that's right.
You got to show face and fix it.
That's right. It doesn't matter the day, doesn't matter the time. It's
holidays, weekends,
that's
you
right.
know, you're in your PJs,
that's
whatever the case may be.
You want to see your kid, like you talked about. I mean, I also think about, I guess I wonder, why do you think more people don't get into business? Like, why do you think, I mean, entrepreneurs are a particular type, I think. Would you agree with that?
I would.
mean, you know, and so what is it that wires some people maybe to be an entrepreneur and some people not to be so much?
I think, I haven't really thought about that, but I think a lot of people just are afraid to take a risk, and I think that entrepreneurship is like 90% risk management, right? Like anything you do when you're opening a business, you're taking a risk. And I think that managing that risk well is what makes like an entrepreneur a good one. And yeah, man, that's
like tolerance. I think it's also just tolerance for risk. Like some people, they just can't, the stress of, or the apprehensiveness of, that comes with not knowing.
Well, it's hard, man.
It's the unknown, but
like I would, there's nothing wrong with going to work at 9 and getting out at 5. That works great for some people, but I don't know, man. I think you have to have like a little bit of it. Like you got to be born with it a little bit, and then you have to just be willing to like sacrifice your time and like you got to love work, man. I love to work, and that's my passion. That's how I take care of my family. That's how money doesn't make the world go round, but it makes it a lot easier. It makes your life a lot easier. And, if I'm constantly working, then I don't really see a way that, the money can't follow, and I can't, buy my kid whatever he needs and have a nice home and take care of my family and eat good food,
well, and I think confidence is such a huge part too. Like it's going to be very difficult for you to be successful if you're not really believing in yourself. Sure. And I think that's hard for a lot of folks. I mean, and I think it's hard for entrepreneurs too. I mean, but if you think about it, maybe it's not true for you, but I know for me, it was like on a Monday, I could feel like I should be writing books because I'm so genius. And by Tuesday afternoon,
I feel like a completely different person.
I feel like I should completely get out of business. You know what I mean? Like the swing between what good is and what difficult is or bad may be is just so vast and so stark sometimes, especially early, because everything is like hinging on these micro moments. And so just that up and that down is it's intense.
Yeah, and I think that being an entrepreneur, that you've got to kick yourself in the butt every day.
That's right.
You don't.
Your dreams won't chase you.
Right. If you just show up, it's not gonna work.
That's so true.
You gotta.
It's true.
I think that. I mean, I don't know if this is true for you, but for me at least, it's the last thing I think about before I go to bed is my business, and the first thing I think about every day when I wake up is my business. And I think that's another challenge of being an entrepreneur too, is because it's hard to get away from work, but because you love it so much, right? And I think that sometimes a 9 to 5 sounds nice, just be able to cut that off, but I think I get really, really bored really quick.
Seriously.
I always need something. Church is doing great now, and I'm like, it was doing great, and then I looked for the new thing, and now we're moving to a bigger location.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. You've got this very successful deal, and everybody knows where it is. They know what it's called, and now you're going to change it up. You're going to relocate. So what was the thinking behind that?
Well, we've been open for almost 2 years, and every weekend, thankfully that we're packed. There's people standing around. Sometimes it's like, it's so busy, it's miserable in there, man. It's like you're standing on top of each other, and my servers or my cocktail waitresses and waiters can't even get to a table because there's so many people in the walkway. So I think that we just really outgrew our space. And, like I think I mentioned this earlier, but like Tufano's was already set up as a bar. And the space that we moved into was pretty much an empty shell. So we were able to go in there and build the bar how I wanted it. And like, we already knew from working at the other location, like where we needed to improve and how we could be more efficient. And I was able to build the bar exactly how I wanted it, exact specs I wanted. I was able to go in there and be creative and like, make the ambiance exactly how I wanted it. And, the idea of moving to a bigger location is when you walk into church on Walnut Street where we were and you see there's nowhere to sit, you might walk in for a second, you might get a drink, and then you're still standing after 15 minutes and then you're getting out of there because there's nowhere to sit. So the idea is more space for people spread out, more people can sit down, more people can spend money.
What was the capacity at the old space, and what's going to be the new capacity?
Capacity was 50. So I think the code is 25 per bathroom or per stall.
Right.
And, but we only sat 36 people. And at the new space, we have right at 50 people, but we doubled our space. We doubled our space. So we were in like 1,000 square feet. Now we're in like 2,100. But we didn't double our seating. So we're at 50 people. But it's just going to feel a lot better. We had a 3-foot walkway.
Yeah, right. 50 people seated, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So having that extra space really opens it up for the standing room and for movement, like you're talking about, flow.
It'll feel better when it's real busy.
That's cool.
We wanted to keep it small and intimate. I think that's important. If 10 people are in the bar, it feels good,
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't want a giant space that always felt empty. The idea of church was to be like the neighborhood bar where people can feel good and comfortable and obviously enjoy a nice cocktail.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you succeeded at that, I believe, in spades, and it's really become an asset for folks downtown. I know that it gets a lot of referral business from the Chamber of Commerce, and
we appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys have really, it's just something beautiful. I think anybody should be able to appreciate when somebody's done something well.
Sure.
That it's beautifully done. It's well done. There's care that's been taken into, every aspect of what's been created. And I think that business is a very strong example of that.
I appreciate the compliment, man.
You feel that, don't you? Don't you feel that in your own heart?
Oh yeah, man. I think that, we've done an excellent job.
Yeah.
I had a vision and a goal. And I think that we've far exceeded that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than I ever thought it would be.
Well, and the fact that you're living your dream.
Yeah.
That you had a dream to do this thing. And
it's cool to talk about something for so long and then make it come true. And then it becomes a really good thing. And, it just makes you feel even better, man.
And you did it. I mean, I think there's so much pride in, I had this vision for this thing and I didn't wait for somebody else to do it for me. I did it. And
I mean, I think that, for a long time I was looking for somebody to help me, and I didn't have the money to do it. And then eventually I just, I realized nobody's going to give you a chance. If you haven't proven anything. And I finally saved my money up, an opportunity came across and I took advantage of it. And, I just realized, man, you just got to bet on yourself.
That's right.
There's nothing like it.
There is nothing like it. I agree with that.
I'm choosing me every day if I'm betting on myself, man.
That was my favorite part. Still is to this day. That's probably the thing I miss most about the day-to-day of entrepreneurship is it is a full-on, all-in bet on you. And you almost always, what I loved about business and entrepreneur, what I still love is you almost always get what you put in. It maybe not always exactly, but if you invest, you get return.
Absolutely.
And that principle of seeing that occur and knowing that exchange can happen over and over again. And it comes down to if I show up and if I work hard and if I'm creative and if I can do this,
absolutely, man,
then I get something back for it. And that fruit is very fulfilling, I think. I don't know.
For sure. Yeah. I think you're totally right, man. I mean, there's nothing like enjoying the fruits of your labor. And, I think a lot of people need to, especially young folks or people that are inspiring to be an entrepreneur or open their own business. I mean, it's not something that you do overnight, it took me years to learn how to make cocktails. And I took a lot of time going to, other cities and trying other places and drawing inspiration from other bars. And, I think the first time I had this vision was I was 21 or 22. And then 6 years later, that's when it happened, right?
That's right. overnight success happened over 7 years.
Yeah, that's right. I think there's a quote that one of my favorite quotes is Usain Bolt. He says, "I trained 4 years to run 9 seconds, and people give up after 2 months."
Yeah,
it's like I don't know, man. It's a never-ending battle, and you just got to bet on yourself every day and work at something every day.
I know. I think working with the chamber now, for me, I think about all those aspiring entrepreneurs. I want people to aspire to entrepreneurship because it's like, to me, for my family, it was one of the most life-changing things that occurred. And, I think about somebody who learns how to plumb or learns how to weld or whatever they learn how to do, it almost doesn't matter. If you can realize that it's possible, right? Like I think sometimes entrepreneurship doesn't dawn on people. They just say, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get paid. And then I just wish that like conversations like this could occur and people could hear them, because it's like, well, hey, it's possible. Like you can take that thing you know how to do already and turn it into a business.
For sure, man.
And yeah.
So like in addition to the bar, I flip houses and I've invested in property. That's been like a huge part of my success. And, that's something that you do like on your own too. And, all the subcontractors that I use, I don't really swing a hammer and nail, I sub out all the work when I flip a house, but it's, every time I see somebody that has a skill or a trade, I just don't, for me, it's like, if I could use my hands to make a living, like I would never work for anybody else again. And I think there's just a lot of like, I think you brought up a good point, confidence. I don't think a lot of people have confidence in themselves. And, I think it's just scary, but the greatest, one of the best things about being an entrepreneur is, or working for yourself is your flexibility, that's one of my favorite parts is, typically like, except for like unforeseen things that, you have to go to that are really inconvenient. But, when you plan your week, I plan my week every Sunday, and, I'm able to go to most important things. And, if I can work all day and I can take this time block and go do whatever it is that my kid has a doctor's appointment or whatever, and then I'll pay for it later. But it's, you can spend that time and do the things you really want to do.
But it's like just like you craft a cocktail and it's custom. You do that with your life as an entrepreneur. It is your chance to craft the kind of life you are carving out to choose. And that, I don't think that's possible. I don't think it's quite as possible the other way. Like there's nothing quite like entrepreneurship to give you a pure custom life.
For sure.
And so that's I think that's a very good point that you make.
Yeah, I think that you should always, just like another thing for being an entrepreneur is I think that you should always just continue working on your craft, like church has been really successful, but like my foot's still on the gas, man.
Sure.
It's, I'm always thinking about what we can do to be better. Maybe TMI, but like, I mean, if you looked at my Instagram feed, it's all cocktails, it's all bartenders, it's all restaurants, bars. Beside the toilet in my house is a whiskey book. It's like, I think that you just always need to be working on your craft and keep your finger on the pulse in your business. And, if I'm not working there every day, but I'm doing all the things behind the scenes to be creative and make it interesting, as far as simple as just changing your glassware out every 6 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like people have something different to hold in their hands when they come to your bar. Changing the flowers on the tables, like we use fresh flowers every week. I just think
that's great.
Attention to detail is just like super important, and I think you should always just continue to work on your craft.
That's funny. I read a great book. What was the fellow's name? The guy Seth Godin, famous marketing author. And he's talking about being in business, and I think the book's called Purple Cow. And he talks about crafting an experience for 12 people, like to have 12 people in mind, not 12,000, not even 1,200, but to think about 12 people what would make something irresistible for those 12 people? And when you start saying stuff like fresh flowers, like that detail you're talking about that says, I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but if I can go deep with 12 people, I can scale it.
For
like
sure.
it's going to be a powerful enough service, experience, product, whatever you want to call it, that it can be, it can grow, but it can never be great if it's not great with 12 first. And I thought that's such a good way of thinking about it, because it's like, it takes your brain to a different, like you're talking about. I think it takes you to the detail of it. Like how do they, even how does it feel when a glass hits your lips? Because every glass is not the same. I mean, that's such an huge, interesting thought,
Yeah. I think attention to detail is super important, man. And I really strive for that. And I strive for, like, I think most bars have kind of like a bad rap. So, we've worked really hard to create an environment where like people feel safe, people feel comfortable, and just really feel like they had a craft experience. And, there's people that do it way better than us, man. I'm constantly learning from them. When I go anywhere and try a new spot or a new drink, I'm always looking at what they're doing. I'm watching their staff. I'm watching their system, like how they move around. I mean, I don't know, man. I think there's always room to improve, and we're not like the best at it, but we're trying really hard every day to be really good at it.
You're pretty good. So who do you look at? Before you had mentioned Alvin Grant, but like now at this stage, because you're at a different stage of your life, like who do you look at and sort of are paying attention to, like taking a cue from and really thinking, being inspired by or being paced by?
So it's, I don't mean this in any way, but there's not a lot of people that are my age that are like doing what I'm doing. So it's hard to surround myself with young people. I feel like if I went to like a larger city with more population, I might be able to find like a group that was like a little more common-minded. But I find a lot of inspiration from like socials. Obviously, I follow like a couple of restaurants and bars in Raleigh. One of my favorite places ever is Foundation. You ever been there?
I have.
It's an underground whiskey bar. They're on Fayetteville Street, I believe, and they're like the founding fathers of like craft cocktails in Raleigh. They were there before downtown Raleigh was like really cool. And I actually met the owner. His cousin is my neighbor on Walnut Street.
Nice.
And his name's Will Alphin, and he is like, he's similar to me. The bar isn't his main gig. He's never bartended, never made a drink in his life, I don't think. But he is a architect and like design and build guy. So he's like super creative. Yeah. And the story of Foundation was they were hired to fix that building up, and then they couldn't go higher to make the building bigger, but they could go lower for some kind of city ordinance or something. So like him and his buddy were like, let's do a bar. And then 17 or 15 years later, this bar's still there, and it's like great.
Wow.
So he's somebody that I've called on a lot. He's really good and really cool, and he's like a lot older than me. He's already been there, done that, and then I don't know if there's like right off the top of my head, I can't really think of anybody that's been like super influential to me in the past couple of years. I mean, my buddy Rob Phillips is like, I think everybody knows Rob. He's in real estate too, but he's he grinds too, man. He's just got that like mentality, and he's somebody that you want to be around all the time. He's always like on your team, and like he's always got your back. He's always kind of like pushing me to do something else, and he's been super influential. And then obviously my family. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think being an entrepreneur, you have to like find that drive in yourself. The outside sources don't really pull too much on me as much as they used to.
Sure. Yeah. And I just remember thinking, I didn't even realize I was doing it until I got a little bit older, but like that I was paying attention to certain people, and then those people would change over time, and it was like, they weren't even necessarily in the same, like line of work or whatever I was in. It was just, there were people that I was like, oh, I like how they move. I'm interested in how they think. And
I've lost a lot of friends, man, being like early 20s. I wasn't going overseas and traveling and like going to the beach every weekend and like, I was working and, a lot of my friends were doing that. A lot of my friends were in college. I was home working. I was still here working. And, as I got older and started like progressing in my career, I had to kind of leave people behind because they were still doing the same things, and I think that a huge part of your success is who you surround yourself with. Like I think you have to have people that have common problems and like common goals. I'm not worried about paying my light bill at 29 or whatever. I'm worried about like the next business I'm going to open. And if I'm hanging around people that are like going out every weekend and like, just trying to, I don't know, man, I guess being like mediocre, you just can't, you can't be in this mindset where you're working all the time and then your friends are always having fun, right? You need to be with people that are also working and like,
the purposes are similar. There's alignment, and it could be different ages, different whatever, but alignment is such a huge part of life, I think.
I didn't realize that till I got older. Yeah. But that's huge, cool. Man.
That is huge. All right. Well, what's next, man? What motivates you? We're very excited to see the new place for sure. But what is next for Kyle Merritt?
Well, dude, right now I'm just really trying to, the past few months I've been really pushing to get the new spot open. So I've been working like a crap ton, which I love it, man. Like it's really cool to see it all come together now and, have our soft opening tonight, which is really awesome. But, I really just I kind of want to take a hiatus, man. I got a 5-month-old that I love to death, man. And I'm just trying to, I want to work on like me personally a little bit and, spend time with my family. And, obviously the way my mind is built, I'm always thinking about what's next. So, my eyes will be open for the next opportunity. And, but I'm going to enjoy this time with my family now and keep working in my business and doing what I can to perfect it on all sides of it. And I started a little property management company. So, I started that at the beginning of this year. It was like really low key. I wanted to kind of get my feet wet, but I think I'm going to start, really pushing, that business, middle of 2024. I really want to take the next 6 months, just really enjoy life. But, that's what's next, man. I'm going to focus more on my property and my real estate career and, enjoy family, let the bar roll. And, yeah, man.
It's exciting.
That's what I got. Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm fired up. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
This is really cool. This is really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for, I'm honored to be here.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it, brother.